what is a frog actually supposed to do at the table of a princess? And what is this magnificent horse-drawn carriage that has just arrived? Would you like to find out? Well then, let's take a look. There once was a king whose daughters were all beautiful. But the youngest daughter was the most beautiful of them all. Whenever it was hot, she would go to the well, which stood under the linden tree that grew in the large forest near the castle. There she would sit by the edge of the well and play with her favourite toy, a golden ball. The princess would throw the ball high in the air and catch it again and again. But one day, the princess missed the ball and it fell down into the well. The well was so deep that the princess couldn't see the ball. Then she started to cry. All of a sudden, someone called out to her, "Why are you crying so loudly, king's daughter?" The princess looked around and saw a frog who was sitting by the edge of the well. She told him what had happened. The frog said, "Do not cry, princess. I can help you. But what will you give me in return if I bring back your ball?" The princess said, "I will give you whatever you want. My clothes, my pearls and jewels, and even my golden crown." The frog, however, replied, "I'm not interested in any of that. But if you promise me that I may be your friend, sit at your little table, eat from your little golden plates, drink from your little golden cup, and sleep in your little bed, then I will bring you back your ball." To this the princess said, "I will promise you whatever you want, if you would only bring back my ball." But she thought to herself, "That frog can think whatever he wants, but he can just stay in the water and croak along with the other frogs. I don't want him as a friend." Once the frog had been given a promise from the princess, he leapt into the well and brought back the golden ball. The princess was very pleased. She took her ball and ran happily away. The frog shouted, "Take me with you!" But the princess did not listen to him, and so the frog had to stay behind. The next day the princess was sitting at the table with the king, eating from her little golden plate, when suddenly there was a knock at the door. Someone shouted, "King's youngest daughter, let me in." Upon hearing this, the daughter ran to the door to see who was there. When she opened the door, she saw the frog. She slammed the door shut and sat back down at the table. She was very nervous indeed. The king noticed this and asked his daughter why she was afraid. So the princess told her father what had happened. There was a second knock at the door, and the frog shouted, "King's youngest daughter, let me in. Do you not remember what you promised me yesterday at the well?" Then the king said, "If you make a promise, you must also keep that promise. Go and let him in." The princess opened the door and the frog hopped inside. He jumped after her and onto the table. Then he sat himself down beside her and began to eat from her little golden plate. When he had finished, he said, "Now I'm tired. Carry me to your little bed." The princess began to cry, but this made the king very cross, so she took the frog and carried him to her room. She put him in a corner and went to bed. When the frog crept over to her, the princess became angry and threw him against the wall. When he fell to the floor, the frog turned into a handsome prince. This prince told the princess that a wicked witch had put a spell on him, and that the princess had now broken the spell. They could get married, if that's what she would like. The princess did indeed want to marry the prince. When the sun rose the next morning, a carriage arrived, pulled by 8 white horses. On the carriage there stood the prince's servant, the faithful Henry, who would fetch the prince and the princess and take them to the prince's kingdom. When the prince had turned into a frog, faithful Henry was so sad that he had been forced to wear 3 iron bands around his heart, so that it would not burst from sadness. But now he was happy once again, and delighted that the prince had been saved. When the carriage drove away, the prince heard a loud cracking sound and said, "Henry, the carriage is breaking." But Henry replied, "No, sir, not the carriage. It is the band around my heart, which was in so much pain while you were a little frog, sitting in the well and waiting." During the journey there were 2 more cracking sounds, and each time the prince thought it was the carriage breaking. But it was just the bands around faithful Henry's heart springing free, because the prince had been saved. Now you know the story of the Frog King and Iron Henry. But did you also find our little elf?
Hey there! Did you like the tale? Then make sure to subscribe to our channel to see the newest videos. Over here! Do you want to see more videos right away? Then click here.